everyone, you're watching the Blue Group's rhetorical essay explanation regarding Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay Nature, specifically Chapter 2, Commodity. So, my group and I are going to explain the parts that each has written individually in order to showcase how we have broken down the literary devices and appeals that the author has implemented in order to highlight his purpose. With, my group and I have written the introduction together, as we wanted to state Emerson's purpose in writing the chapter Commodity, in which he wanted to showcase the fundamental role of nature on man's life. He wanted to show that all the factors of nature are all combined to fulfill man's need and to fulfill man's experience in life. And so we have also captured a glimpse and a hint of our author's personality, in which he was a transcendentalist who really appreciated nature, and he also wanted to affect others and show them how to love and care about nature and how it is very important to understand the role of nature on man's life.
Good day, everyone. Today we'll be talking about Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay Nature, more specifically the chapter Commodity, and I'll be explaining his use of emotional appeal and certain rhetorical devices he used in order to get across his stance that is transcendentalism. Now you may be wondering, what exactly is transcendentalism? Transcendentalism is a very formal word for a very simple idea, that is, people who know who they are and know what role they play in the universe and are aware that they are a small piece to a big picture that transcends beyond all limits. Emerson was a huge believer and supporter in transcendentalism, especially when it came to nature, due to his non-traditional belief that nature is the giver of all things and his appreciation to nature. In the chapter Commodity, Emerson details nature as a necessity that supports our earthly existence, and by describing the practical arts made by humans as a reproduction of nature that also goes along with everything made by humans with the support of nature. Emerson's main goal in this chapter, and essentially the entire essay, is to influence the reader to adapt to the appreciation of nature and to be grateful. He does this by emotionally stimulating the reader with devices such as diction, descriptive writing, allusion, and tone in a sensitive way, which acts as a catharsis for him and as an emotional bridge for the reader. When combined, Emerson's strong passion for transcendentalism and his precise use of emotional tuning aid in the development of his case, resulting in the perfectly executed work which leaves a lasting effect on his reader.
My name is Sally Elziadi, and my part in this essay is the first half of the second section, logical reasoning. So I have been able to break down the author's use of literary devices and logical appeal because it was existent in every word that he used in his text. And as you all know, logical appeal is the use of intellect, evidence, and logic. And in my point of view, he was very dependent on the presence of our logical analysis when writing this text in order to understand his main purpose, where there is a very strong connection and a very strong bond between nature and man's life experience. And so this purpose, I understood this purpose very clearly through these points that I have concluded from his usage of words. So the first point is that throughout the use of philosophical aphorism, he wanted to view that nature is a commodity in man's life, and it is a very necessary need for man's life to fulfill his goal in his daily basis. And so they both work and correspond accordingly to one another. The second point that I have concluded is that through the use of embodiment and personification, he wanted to explain how nature is in a continuous loop of action in order to fulfill a man's need. The third point that I have concluded from his words is that throughout the integration of short, witty statement, he really wanted to show us the truth behind how man has lost the love and care and appreciation towards nature, and that has made man's earthly experience less. And so man has to regain the love and appreciation towards nature in order to regain the stability in his daily basis. Fourth point is that through the use of intellectual reference of many great and wise stories, he was able to show the reader and show the logic of the reader how the only aid to man in order to reach to a safe place is by the natural benefactors throughout man's surrounding. And fifth and foremost, through the usage of paradoxical statements, he wanted to show how man life can perish if man's behaviors towards nature disintegrates. And he wanted to affect the reader of how man has developed many behaviors of laziness towards the people around him, and foremost towards nature. All these hidden meanings have been unlocked through logical explanation and through logical reasoning. And so the messages that Emerson wanted to send to the reader was around the usage of logical reasoning and the usage of logical appeal. And so Emerson has specifically utilized logical appeal and utilized these very important factors of literary devices in order to affect his transcendentalists and his fellow wise readers. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, I'm Hannah Khaled from the Blue Group. Today I'm going to tell you about the parts that I wrote in this rhetorical essay. So my first part is a part in the section of logical reasoning. So from its name, logical reasoning is where the author appeals to the intellect and the logic of the audience. So here we are going to talk about this. Let me give you an example. For example, in page 1 of his chapter Commodity, he wrote, "The misery of the man appears like a child petulance." So here he is putting the man in comparison with a child. So if I'm a reader and I read this, of course I would be a little bit confused. So why he's comparing a man to a child? This is a very good question. Because he wants to point out something. He wants to say that although the man and the child are opposite, yet the man in its misery is like the child in its petulance. This is the goal that the author wants to reach. The goal wants to reach that the reader is thinking about what he is writing. So this is why we called it logical reasoning, because he appeals to activate your intellect and your logic.
Hi, my name is Malak Sharif and I'm from the Blue Group, and today I wanted to discuss with you my part of the rhetorical essay, which is Matriculate Descriptive Writing, Part 1. In my part, I discussed how the author, Emerson, used description and details as a technique in his writing. I'm going to discuss with you some of the examples that I've provided in my essay. First of all, in the first page, he said that, under the general name of commodity, I rank all those advantages which our senses owe to the nature. This, of course, is a benefit which is temporary, immediate, not ultimate, like its service to the soul. In this example, he was using principled comparison and comparing between the benefits that our senses get from the nature, which are considered to be limited and lasting for only a short period of time, to the benefits that the soul gets from nature, which are considered to be permanent and ultimate. This detailed comparison helps Emerson's intended audience, the transcendentalists, discover the huge impact that nature has caused to both the man's senses and the man's inner soul. Moreover, Emerson continued to use description by saying, "The misery of man appears like childish petulance." He used evidential comparison in delineating the unreasonable distress of the man, since he saw that it was irrational and immature of a man to be in misery when he gets provided with everything that he needs. He therefore described the misery of the man as a very childish act. Without Emerson's delineation and description, the reader wouldn't have understood what he was trying to say, and he wouldn't have known how misery of the man appeared to Emerson. And that's precisely why we chose to discuss matriculate descriptive writing in our essay. Thank you.
Further, I wrote part 2 in matriculate descriptive writing section. In this section, we are talking about how the author described nature in such great details. For instance, he wrote in page 1 of his chapter, nature in its ministry to man is not only the material, but is also the process and result. So here he is describing nature by appealing to the logic and intellect of the audience. So what does he mean by using the words process and result to describe the nature? Because if I'm describing nature, I would describe the air, I would describe the sun, the moon, but I won't describe the process and the result. So that's his target. That's the target that the author wants to reach, to make you think. So here, he's talking about the nature as if it's the society, and the process and result, the things that affect the person who lives in this society. Okay, so here, the nature is the society you as a human live in, and the words process and result stands for an abstract meaning, which is how it affects the man. Thank you. In a nutshell, Emerson's precise use of emotion stimulation, logical reasoning, and meticulous descriptive writing all work together, hand in hand, to provide the reader with in-depth and detailed description of nature. And with the combination of Emerson's intellect and influential strategies he used, all of this articulates his point in a clear-cut way. Thank you.